Hi everyone, Julie here and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today I'm going to just do a quick edit on this image that I took of this green apple. So I set it up in the studio. I just had it on a simple brown little wooden stool. I had some black fabric in the background. I was lighting this from the side. You can actually see that highlight spot in here. So I was lighting that with a speed light with a snoot on it. So I had it sort of side light because I really wanted to pick up the details in the water droplets. So I sprayed it with a mixture of 50% water and 50% liquid glycerin, so that gets it to hang on the fruit a little longer. It will drip, as you can see here, but because it's a little bit sticky, it takes a little bit longer to drop. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm not actually going to use any of the presets that you get in Nik Color Efex. I'm just going to come in and do a quick little edit. So what I want to do is I want to go into my basic adjustments, and one thing that I really like to do in here is, and I've got it marked as my favorite, so you've got the little star there, is I want to do the contrast color range. So if I put my slider across to before and after, and it has knocked out some of the details, but I can drop the opacity down, I can boost up that color range to give it that real sort of subtle boost in color and brightness. But because it did drop some of the details, I'm going to add the detail extractor. So I'm just going to click on the little plus there, and that has brought a lot of the details back. So I can play around with that. I can increase the detail. You just have to be careful because it does increase the contrast a little bit. So you may want to change, just mix it up. Do you want to have it a bit stronger, but maybe bring the opacity back? It's up to you to decide where you want to leave it. The next thing that I want to do is I want to go into color, and what I want to do is I want to add perhaps a little bit of brilliance and warmth. I'm going to click on that to add that. Just going to close these so I can see what I'm doing. So with this, I can play around with the saturation of the color. So if I wanted to make it black and white, I can do that, or I can boost the color. Be careful boosting it up too much because you get those really sort of fake colors. A little bit of a boost is fine. I've only done 2% on there with the saturation. Maybe even just go to 4%. And then you've got your warmth. It should be warmth and color. So if I go all the way to the left, that makes it very blue. Anything that's got blue in the color is going to make it look cooler. Whereas if I go over to the yellows, that's going to introduce warmth into it. So again, it's personal choice. I quite like going just a touch to the cool side, but that is a personal preference. Anytime you add blue into your image, it will look cooler, but I think it also looks a little bit brighter. So that's something else that can work quite well with it. Now, if we pop over to the contrast panel, I've already got the detail extractor on there, but I might come and do a little bit of a levels adjustment. I'm going to bring my shadows down and bring my highlights up just a touch. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the blacks down. So if you see before and afterwards, the blacks were quite distinctive, whereas now they are softer. I might just bring that down a little more, and it just sort of gives that almost like a vintage look and feel to your images. Again, this is not something that you have to do, it's just something that I like to pop in. Another one that is also interesting to play with is the Pro Contrast. I might just put a little favorite on there, so you can play around with different things in the, you've got color correct, you've got correct contrast, which it's blowing it out, dynamic contrast, which you can play around with it. You can put some more into your shadows and drop back the highlights. Of course, you can drop the opacity on that completely. So taking it with just a few little steps, I have taken it from how I took it in camera, which there's nothing wrong with it. I could have left it perfectly as it was, or I can play around with my details here, and I might just play with the levels and curves, maybe even bring that back. Go into the color range, drop the opacity on that. Now, if I was to go into my control points, I could then also play around with different aspects. There's not a huge amount on there. I could bring the diffusion down. So they have changed the control points, because you used to be able to deal with your shadows and highlights and all the rest of it, but they've now just got the luminance, chrominance and diffusion listed here. So I'm going to pretty much leave it here on this one. Of course, don't forget you can save it as non-destructive edits on larger files especially. It will save it, because I opened it from Lightroom, it will save it back into Lightroom as a TIFF file. I can also save this preset. So for instance, I'm going to save this one and I'm going to call it Green Apples, because I can then, when I want to process the rest of the images, I can now apply this preset to those images along with some tweaks. So here is my finished image from Nik Color Efex. So you can see that it's got edit.tiff on the end of it. This is the original file. So if I want to go back and re-edit this in Nik, so if I come back, I go to edit in and I go to Nik Color Efex 7, edit original. It comes back into Nik, but because I did not click on non-destructive edits, it hasn't kept that. But if I want to hit, so if I go into my personal presets and I hit Green Apples, it is right there. So I can then apply that back to this image and make some changes, resave the preset. Or if I want to apply exactly the same preset with the same corrections to the other images within this series, I can do that just by going into personal filters and clicking on the one that I saved. So now if I just hit apply again, it will apply those presets and save it back into Lightroom. I haven't actually changed anything, so I can just hit cancel and I will close without saving because I didn't make any changes, and that takes me back. So here is another image in the series. I'm just going to right click, I'm going to edit in, I'm going to go to Color Efex Pro 7. I'm just going to edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments, although there really wasn't much done there. So what I can do then is go into my personal presets, look for green apples, and it will apply that to this image. All I have to do then is hit apply again, and it will save it as another TIFF back into Lightroom. So it's as easy as that. If I had wanted to re-edit the same image, I could have clicked non-destructive edits, although it does make for larger files. And that is my additional edit from the same presets that I created in Nik Color Efex. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this quick and easy edit in Nik Color Efex, and I will see you next time in YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye for now.